Whew. It is 4:40 in the morning. I've been up making lunches for the day, as you can see right here. And then I'm gonna go upstairs, get my run clothes on, and head to the gym. You know, just like you, I need that external spark to get me excited and to get me going with my training. And that might be signing up for a race or joining a challenge or something like that. But there's a funny thing about that excitement and that spark. I'm not always excited to wake up at 4:15 like you just saw in the morning, but I've figured out ways how to do that anyway, even when I don't feel like it. And that's what I want to talk about today is how do we find the right things that motivate us and get us fired up to get moving in the right direction, but how do we also establish the right routines and habits and practices that keep us going even when that motivation runs out, because it inevitably will. But first up, let's talk about those things that get us fired up and excited and how you can find the right motivating factor for you. Let's up next. Now, when I'm looking for things to get me motivated, I'm looking for something that's gonna get me both excited, but also kind of afraid. Something that if I know if there's a little fear factor in there, it is something that is going to push me out of my current comfort zone or even skill set. And you know, that's why we sign up for races. That's why we join training programs or challenges, because it pushes us to do something that we've never done before and we don't think we could do. But we need to find the right amount of fear here, right? It's gotta be something that is the Goldilocks principle, that pushes me beyond myself, but also is attainable. Something that, you know, a reasonable person would look at and be like, okay, that's kind of hard, but I think you can do it. If it's too much fear, if it's too much of a jump, the risk is we've signed up for something where we're actually not gonna stick, we're not gonna last, and then like, what are we really accomplishing in the first place? Of course, if I'm not excited about it on day one, you better believe it's gonna be hard to be excited about it on day 30, 60, or 90, or however long you're going. So make sure that that excitement is really starting from here. Because I know the things that Morgan does, Coach Morgan does, is not always the things that fire me up, right? So I say, you go girl, go get it. I'm gonna go find the things that get me going. And the other thing about excitement, guys, is it changes over the years. The things that you might have been excited to do the last year or the year before might be different than now. So be open to those types of things, but make sure that we've got that right blend of excitement and fear. And finally, other little things we could do just to get us going out the door is gear upgrades. Getting that, you know, new pair of fly kicks, new fitness gear, whatever it is, just to put that little smile on your face, be like, hey, I've committed to something. I've got a little bit more skin in the game, and that's gonna get me out the door. So now that we've covered things that are gonna motivate us and get us fired up, let's talk about the things that are going to keep us going that is right. It is gonna be those habits. Now, there's nothing better than feeling really fired up and excited about what you're about to do. And it's like jet fuel. You just take off the ground and you are in the stratosphere in a second. But if you're not careful about that fuel source, it goes away. It goes away real quick. And all of a sudden you might be that runner, that individual who started really strong in the New Year's, and then 3 or 4 weeks, you're like, man, I am back to where I started. And there's a reason why that's the case, because doing new things takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of willpower, a lot of mental focus, and that's a muscle that just gets fatigued because we need to exert a lot of willpower throughout our day and the different decisions we make, the things we have to do at work, with our kids. So the idea is this: how do we automate all the things we really care about so we have to exert little to no minimal willpower whatsoever, whether that's adopting healthier habits for eating, whether that is establishing your new workout routine, or, you know, finding that training program that works for you sustainably so that you run even when you don't feel like it, right? That's the game. That is the long run thing that we want to tackle. So this next piece, I'm going to talk about how we can start to use that initial excitement, that groundswell of motivation, to start establishing those healthier habits that are going to keep me going even when I don't feel like it. Now, this is really important to remember. Habits are neither good nor bad, they just are, right? They're what we do every single day without thinking about it, to how I sit and stand while I'm at work or while I'm watching this video, to what I drink throughout the day, to whether or not I eat breakfast, to whether or not I run or train, or even what roads I run on. So the bad news, in one respect, is that these habits, if we're not aware about them, we become a victim to them. We just get pulled along from things we've done in the past. But the good news is that if we can draw a little attention and awareness to them, we can actually supplant habits that we don't want with habits that we do, which is what I want to talk about in this clip right here. Now, for those of you who are running and struggle with training in fits and starts, the thing that I found in my experience working with runners is that we have more control over the early hours of our day versus the last few hours of the day. So I really encourage that you start running first thing if you can, before the family wakes up, before you have to go to work, before anything snowballs out of your control. One way to make that easier, and again, another little habit, is to lay out your fitness clothes the night before. You lay out your running gear the night before, so you wake up and the first thing you do is you just stumble into your running shorts, your shirt, and you're like, okay, I've gotten that done and I'm off to the races. Let's say you're someone who doesn't want to necessarily train first thing in the morning, you just can't do it with your schedule for whatever reason, that's fine. Maybe you've packed your running gear to take with you, so all of a sudden it's all packed and ready to go, or it already lives in your car. Take it with you to work so that at lunchtime or in the evening, you are still changing into that gear to get yourself ready to go and hit that workout. Again, you're doing it. It just is. You're doing it even when you don't feel like it. Let's talk about strength training. I think that a huge component for strength training is just finding the time to get it in. But if I say, hey, I'm gonna find the time, I'm trying to exert a lot of mental willpower, it's not in a schedule, it's gonna be for the birds. I'm not gonna make it more than a week or two. So schedule this in, pencil this in at certain times. Every Tuesday and Thursday, every Wednesday and Friday, whatever day or time works for you, block that out in your calendar and make sure that that is just sacred time for you. You can hold yourself more accountable by telling a friend. You could have a friend join you for that workout. You could join a gym in a specific class, go there, or you just have a little time in your living room where you pull out your toys and you get yourself going. Another huge thing is injury prevention and mobility. We don't have more time throughout the day to just fit things in, but how do I make things automatic? And the things that I like to do are to leave a foam roller or a lacrosse ball, much to my wife's chagrin, out by our living room and our TV. And so that when I know that if we're chilling at the end of the night after dinner, we're watching an episode on Netflix, I will pull that roller out and I'll roll out my quads, work on my calves or whatever while we're watching TV. So it doesn't feel like this extra thing. My mobility and injury prevention comes automatic. And hey, if you're someone who's trying to work on better hydration habits, carry a water bottle, keep it with you, and keep that thing full, and chances are you'll see it, you'll just start to establish those hydration habits a little bit more. So remember, the things that get us excited require a lot of steady, methodical work. We need to do that steady, methodical work. We need to wake up early. We need to put in those hard sessions even when we don't feel like it, even when that excitement and that motivation goes away. The best way to do that is to replace those older habits that we don't like as much with steady, more consistent ones so that we can all of a sudden be training no matter what, even when we don't feel like it. Monday morning, finished coaching, and I've got all my run gear on, and now I'm gonna go out and run on Monday mornings. Usually I do some sort of hard efforts. Tempo, I've been working on my 5K, 10K pace, so I'm gonna be doing a 30-minute steady state effort today to see how that feels. And yeah, what's nice about Mondays, I don't really have to think about it. Headphones in, I'm gonna throw in a little podcast and watch a little sunrise, so it's not the worst thing. Just finished with my 30-minute thing. Felt pretty good today, but I couldn't believe it on this such an incredible morning. But the point of this is that even if it still doesn't feel good, I'm still out here. Like, I don't really have to think about it that hard. I'm just here running. I don't mean this to be in a way of, look how tough and driven I am. Because I'm not even on a training plan, but I just have this ingrained, right? I just like on Mondays, like running. It's a nice start. And I try to set up everything in my day earlier just to make it happen without thinking about it. All right, finish my run. Now, I need to tell you about this fig tree that my wife and I just discovered, because I really think that this fig tree is what happens to all of us and our running and our training. We came around the corner one day and we saw this tree that was just overladen with fruit. And my wife and I both love figs. We were super excited. So I flipped my hat over, she pulled the backpack out, and we just started filling this thing. And we were blown away by the amount of incredible fresh fruit we got. We brought it home. We were snacking on it, we put it in salads, we just put it in everything. And that's kind of like the early days of getting on a training program or making progress towards losing a little bit of weight. The gains come fast and they come easy and it feels really good. But what happens after a while is that as we continue to go back to that tree, the easier fruit was already found. And all of a sudden we had to work a little bit harder to get less and less fruit, which is again something that happens with us in our body. Our progress is really fast at first, but then it starts to slow down. And this is why I want to talk about this idea of motivation versus habits. If my excitement of my progress is the only thing that's propelling me forward, and all of a sudden that progress starts to slow down, I'm at risk of stopping right when I should be doubling down and going even harder. You know, my wife and I used that fig tree as a process to refine our fig hunting skills. We started to look at lower branches and we discovered that there was fruit behind leaves we'd even look at. It forced us to jump up a little bit higher and maybe work together and establish new patterns and habits for pulling that fruit so we could still get a lot out. And it's the same thing with training. When all of a sudden those easy gains go away, we need a process to continue to hone our skill set, to continue to deepen our regular habits that are going to build this reservoir of strength that's going to carry us through, because we know that the next time harvest time comes around, we will be that much more ready and be able to get even more figs, which is what happens with you in your training. You're going to spike, things are going to cool off for a little bit, but if I can stick through that cool off, guess what? You're going to spike again and you're going to continue to improve. Now, this blend of motivation and of habits is why we created the Run Experience app, because we wanted to build programs and challenges that would get you fired up and get you excited and get you directed on the training goals you want to do. But also in all of our workouts, in the app itself, we've established things that help you create the habits that are going to get you going. Everything from the GPS tracker, where you can track all of your runs, to the workouts that we upload regularly, just to the pre-run warm-ups, the post-run injury prevention, mobility work that all of a sudden just becomes second nature. All of those things are in there. And the app is totally free to download. You can use it today and you can start to do a lot of our free workouts and start training. Of course, we have a premium membership in there too if you want fuller access to things, but I just wanted to tell you about those resources that can help you out, because it's already helping out so many runners already. In fact, I've made a video detailing 3 of my favorite running apps, the ones that I use every single week, and you can learn a little bit more about it, as well as the other apps, the apps that keep me motivated and accountable to find this perfect blend. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. I'm gonna keep filming on this lovely day. Not because I feel like it, because it's my habit and I do it every single Tuesday. I'll see you guys next week. How do I look? How does this look? Is this thing on? Bleh.